is an interesting choice, Juliet, for this block. Well, it was inevitable that liberal filmmaker Michael Moore would weigh in on the gun control debate, and it was no surprise that he blamed the mass shooting on, of all things, racism.
I think we're very frightened people. I think we've been frightened ever since we landed on these shores. We were frightened of the native people. We were frightened of the slaves we brought over, as we should have been. And we've lived, and those in power have known how to manipulate us with fear. Fear is used to the point where everybody feels like they've got to have a gun in the house. So why is that? What are they really afraid of? What do they think of? Who's going to break into the house? Do they think it's little freckle-faced Jimmy down the street? I don't think so. I don't think that's who they're afraid of.
Okay, so he's basically talking about, Kimberly, how somehow white people have guns. I'm assuming to keep away from black people, which is just, it's so beyond the pale. Every time he does this, he just loses credibility.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's insufferable. And look at him. It's just tough to take. I hear what he has to say. It's worse. I mean, he doesn't make any sense. He's part of the problem. He's the one that creates the hysteria. He's a divider. He's not a uniter. He's the one that's always putting down this country. He's not a positive thing to say about Americans at all. I mean, honestly, he makes us sound like the worst country, the most corrupt, the most racist. I mean, move!
Yeah.
Bye, Michael, if you hate it so much.
Juan, what do you think of his comments? Because he actually went on to say, you know, some more slanderous things. Relax, white people, put down your guns, and actually insinuated that white people basically have guns because of black people and crime. It's as if white people don't commit any crimes, which they do. They commit a lot.
Newtown?
Well, you know, I mean, to my mind, it's unnecessary, and I think it introduces an element that allows people to ignore reality, which is, you know, look, if you look historically, it was efforts by whites to take guns away from black people that really, you know, starts this argument about gun control in the country. This came up in the course of the Supreme Court debate in which the Second Amendment rights were reaffirmed. But let me just say, when you look at who owns guns, it's overwhelmingly Republicans. If you look at gun ownership between blacks and whites, opposition, again, there is...
Oh, really? Why did Joe Manchin back off on it?
It's not. That's the truth.
So inaccurate. In fact, 51% of Americans believe in the right to own guns.
No, I didn't say didn't believe in the gun. I said who owns guns.
And that's inaccurate, too, Juan.
No, it's not.
It's not that. The skew, yes, it does skew to Republicans, but it's not overwhelming majority like you're saying. Look, Michael Moore is wrong. White people who own guns aren't afraid of little freckle-faced Jimmy down the block. White people who own guns aren't afraid of black people breaking in or holding them up. White people are afraid of moron, idiot liberals like Michael Moore who think they're going to get their guns taken away because they have a liberal Democrat in office and liberal Democrats in the Senate. So what do white people do? They go out and they buy guns to make sure they have guns. If these idiots have their way, they'll be able to take them away or stop selling them.
I actually think his comments were a bit racist in themselves. I mean, that's assuming that black people commit crime. I mean, that's what he was saying, because we're afraid of black people. Why are we afraid of black people, Michael Moore? Maybe you're the racist.
I can't stand giving this guy any airtime. I understand why we do, because he made $50 million on Bowling for Columbine, so he's relevant every time any sort of, you know, gun sort of issue comes up. But the fact is, it's so hard to take him seriously when he tries to be this ramshackle, you know, guy next door, every guy. Meanwhile, he's living in his mansion. It's $1 million, you know, place here in New York City. He's got his $1 million places out in Michigan.
And he has bodyguards.
$50 million net worth, or, you know, 25 to 50 million are the numbers that I see. Come on.
Yeah, and he has bodyguards. And I don't know if they're guarding him or maybe his lunch. Maybe he's afraid someone will steal his lunch.
Right. I really liked him in Star Wars, though. But Jabba the Hutt.
More Hollywood.